Pilot is coming out next week. Yeesh, he has appeared fast. But, anyways, hey guys, Brady here. You may remember my previous video prior to my release of my Nightmare in Dreamland review. I released top 5 worst game remakes of all freaking time. Games like Space Raiders and Secret of Mana for the PS4, those games are terrible compared to their original versions, which are much more superior in my standpoint, personally. But today is something far different. Instead of worst, it's time for best game remakes. Sometimes game remakes can suck terribly. Sometimes they could actually hit a home run and be good for once in a while. So, I'm here to count down my top 5 best game remakes in history. So, let's get into it. This first one, released about 3 years ago to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter. One of the greatest fighting game franchises of all time. I can definitely agree on that. Street Fighter was incredible back in the day, even though it had a rough start with the original Street Fighter. Not Street Fighter 2, the original. That game was terrible. But then came, Street Fighter 2. And what better way to celebrate the best game of all time is to remake it as a Switch exclusive known as Super Ultra Street Fighter 2: The Final Challengers. I got this as one of my first Switch games. Not my first one. I mean, it wasn't out until after Minecraft was released for the Switch. Not the new Minecraft, the old one. The Nintendo Switch version with the subtitle. Whatever. What's different about this game? Everything is the same, except Evil Ryu is playable, and a new character, Violent Ken. Okay. It's a nice little touch. There's also graphics. The graphics are... You could change the graphics and sound effect to make them sound like the original. Instead of Hadouken, it's Hadouken, like in the original arcade and Super Nintendo versions. Yep. There's also a gallery as well, online play, a buddy match where you get 2v1, which is kind of unfair, and honestly a big letdown for this game. The worst part about it is the Way of the Hado mode. That was the worst game mode I've ever played. It's basically where you have 2 Joy-Cons, and you try to perform the Hadouken, the Hurricane Kick, and the Shoryuken with specific inputs. That is what you call a failure. But the rest of the game is near perfect. In fact, I think the graphics for this game was actually based off of Super Street Fighter 2 HD remakes released for other consoles way back in the day. But anyways, next one. This next one is a tie. I couldn't find out which one was better. We have Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Now I know you're gonna say, Sonic Adventure 2 is the greatest Nintendo GameCube game. Well, play the first one before you play the second one. You'll understand the story of Sonic and friends and their glorious adventures to stop Dr. Robotnik from taking over the world once again for the 7 billionth time. They're both, in a way, very good. People just hate Adventure DX. People always play that game on the PC, not the GameCube. But I think the PC version and GameCube version are in some ways very good. What's different about these two versions? Well, nothing. Aside from Adventure DX having new models. for some assorted characters. Most notably, Sonic the Hedgehog, having his design not be from the original Dreamcast game, but rather from, say, Sonic Adventure 2, the Dreamcast model. Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah! I thought that was the worst part of the game. But it's very, if you think about it, Adventure DX is a little lower in quality compared to Adventure 2 Battle. It was still a nice game. And those who grew up with that game have a strong nostalgic point to them. Especially for Adventure 2 Battle. So, next one, please. Kirby, my friend Kirby has come a long way ever since 1992. But in 1996, one game ruled Kirby Superstar. And lucky for us, in the mid-2000s, we had Kirby Superstar Ultra, a port of the Super Nintendo game. That was a good game for its time, especially for people who own a Nintendo DS in the mid-2000s. I mean, shoot, like, there's a ton of differences, I'll tell you. There's, of course, there's like 3 new sub-games. There's Kirby Card Swap, Kirby on the Draw, and Kirby Snack Attack, which are all playable in local form. There's also The Revenge of the King, which is basically... You remember how in Spring Breeze, that was a remake of Kirby's Adventure? Well, Revenge of the King is a remake of that game's extra mode. So that's kind of cool. There's also Helper 2 Hero, which is sort of a truncated version of, say, the Arena. And yeah, so, well, actually, there's also Meta Nightmare Ultra, which is a triumphant return to the glories of Meta Nightmare from Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, which I did talk about in my previous review. I also talked about Superstar in my Superstar Ultra specifically in my first review that I ever recorded with my phone. So, if you are planning to pick up this game, recommended. Nothing else to say. See you guys. Oh, never mind. I thought it was the end of the video for a second. But next one. Legend of Zelda is like one of my favorite Nintendo series. I want to let you guys know that. But the one game that pioneered the Wii U was the Legend of Zelda games. The ports of classic GameCube games and one Wii game that made perfect sense to be existing. And of course, we had Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, but before that, there was the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD. It looks glorious. Glorious. It's clean. It's HD. Full HD graphics. Like, seriously. Everything about that game on the GameCube was really clunky. But at least it had... So for some people, it had more of, somewhat of a nostalgic feel to it. But other than that, it was really bad. For most people. For other people, it was the greatest Zelda game in history. When it was released on Wii U, it was 10 times better. There were some glitches that got fixed. Some of the graphics are most notably very clean. That's basically all there is to it. And you can use the touchscreen as well. Not knowing if you would want to do that, since you probably already have a Pro Controller and you could play it the classic way, like in the GameCube days. Pitiful. But let's move on before we get to number 1. How about some honorable mentions? Let's do it. Oh, Banjo Kazooie. When will you ever get a third game? But, you guys, for those of you who don't know, the tragic story of, you guys, have you ever heard the tragedy of, Microsoft buying Rare Not the story that Nintendo would tell you. Just kidding. Thumbs up if you get the reference. But when Donkey Kong Racing was supposed to be a thing, and before that, Microsoft actually bought Rare, and has been making games for Microsoft ever since. Most notably, say, Conquered Live and Reloaded, Viva Pinata. They even released classic Nintendo games on the Xbox One. And it actually, for Donkey Kong Racing, it actually transformed into another canceled game, Saberman Stampede. You guys can go look up Beta 64's video of that. But when Banjo was on the Xbox 360, it was terrible. With nuts and bolts, yeah. But at least we got the classic N64 game, Banjo Kazooie, in HD. There's nothing really too different about this game, aside from the fact that it's better in quality, obviously, but the controls are just not like the N64 version. Enough said on that, but let's move on to the next honorable mention. The Mario RPG series is incredible, and I mean incredible. Especially when it comes to two franchises, the Paper Mario series and the Mario and Luigi series. And lucky for us, in 2017, we had Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. That was the greatest Game Boy Advance remake I've ever played. And to this day, it is one of my most favorite 3DS RPGs. Sure, Dream Team was good and all, but my highlight Mario and Luigi RPG game is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which was originally released for the Game Boy Advance, and it officially has its own 3DS title. Now, every Mario and Luigi game is on DS and 3DS. Sadly, no Partners in Time remake, unfortunately. That's very sad. But let's finally move on to the last one, which you guys obviously saw coming. Do not tell me you guys saw this game coming. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is one of my most favorite games of 2019. Seriously. Aside from it being a remake, I know, but we're like, hey, we want more new stuff from Crash. But just to hold us off, we have the remakes. I do agree we need another Crash Bandicoot game mainline, but as of right now, we have Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and the Crash Engine trilogy. But yeah. What's different about CTR Nitro Fueled and the original? More characters. It's still getting updates to this day with more characters and stages. More carts. Customizable carts like in Mario Kart 8. Sadly, no gliders, though, like in Mario Kart 8. I love this game. I'm still playing it today. There's even exclusive skins for the PS4 version, which contain codes for PS1 skins for Crash, Coco, and Cortex, which is amazing. I honestly got the Switch version, not the PS4, but still. If you guys want more, please comment. This has been Brady the Bunch with my top 5 best game remakes. This is gonna be a really long video. But anyways, sayonara.